Welcome to Transworld Motocross How-Tos presented by Bike Bandit. Hi, I'm Steve Mathis, mechanic to the stars for many, many years. This week, I've got a CRF 450, I've got some triple clamps from ProTaper, and I'm going to show you how to install them. Very, very easy. I'm going to show you a little trick that makes it a little easier on you, and you'll have brand new triple clamps on your steed in no time. So, this is Transworld Motocross How-Tos presented by Bike Bandit, triple clamps. Okay, so I've taken off the front fender, the front brake line clip to the forks, the front brake itself as one. Remove the handlebars and just drop those back in behind. This is a Honda, so I had to remove the steering dampener. So what we basically have is the front end of the motorcycle. What I'm gonna do now is loosen the steering stem bolt. There we go. And now I'm going to loosen the forks. It's important that you loosen the steering stem nut before you take and slide the forks off the bottom. But what we're going to do as one entire fell swoop, we're going to make the front end of the motorcycle come off and save you a little bit of time when you're installing it. All right, so I've got with a little bit of work, I've dropped the front end. There we go. And then you can just set this to the side. And now we're ready for the install of the new triple clamps. All right, the nut has been loosened already, so I'm gonna slide this off. There's a washer underneath the main steering nut. Hondas don't have a washer here, but I know Yamahas have another washer there. So pay attention to the number of washers and where they go on your stock triple clamp, because they will need to go exactly back that way when you put the new one in. So now we don't have a correct punch, but just slowly break this loose. Kids, try to have the right tools when you're working. Slide your adjusting nut, and this controls how tight or loose you want your steering. Now let's put the new clamp on. All right, so I've got the new bearing installed already on the ProTaper clamp, and I just put some Maxima grease on it. Grease is always your friend. I've greased the bearing races themselves. I've greased the upper bearing, and even put a little bit of grease on the threads while you're at it. Can never hurt. One thing about working on dirt bikes is lubrication is always a good thing. And I'll leave you guys to imagine the rest. Everything's greased, and install the new clamp. Install the new top bearing. Again, always make sure you're looking and seeing exactly where the washers go. There's my dust seal. There's my adjuster nut. And what you can do at first is just put that on loosely. You don't need to adjust it quite yet. Just tighten it a little bit like that. Now it's time for the top clamp. And I've taken the bars off, so pay attention to your routing and make sure you don't have that all screwed up. Make sure you have it exactly the way it was when you took it off. And drop down. Always a good idea as well to, when you install the new bar mounts on the ProTapers, Loctite them and put a little bit of grease on the pinch bolts, which I have already done. So again, Loctite and grease. And you don't need to tighten anything right now because you don't have the entire front end together. So just snug it up, and now you're ready for the forks. All right, we've got the handlebar cables down the right way because you do not want to slide them in without knowing that. And we've got our front end and our forks that have been chilling. Slide them in. You can use the bottom of your foot on the wheel to make it a little easier for you. And just work them up in there. And what you want to do right now is just tighten your pinch bolts. Don't worry about your fork height right now because nothing is tight. Just tighten the bottom pinch bolts and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the install. You can see by dropping this, it's pretty loose. So what you want to do is get in there and just tighten the lock nut just a little bit. And you want a little bit of bounce back when you drop it. So you're bouncing it and you're dropping it and it's bouncing back a little bit. And don't forget, when you tighten the steering nut, it will get tighter as well. So just see that bounce back? A little bit of bounce back is fine. And then once you do the steering nut, it should be perfect. All right, the correct torque on the steering stem nut for a Honda 450 is 80 foot-pounds. So we will now go 80 foot-pounds. And here's the part where you might have to end up doing the same step a couple times, but let's just check. Feels pretty good. And I'm good on the measurement. And being new, the bearings will seat in on the bottom stem and it'll end up being a little looser. So it's a little tight right now, but I'm okay with that. All right, the bars are on. And now, these were new clamps, so the bar mounts came separate. So now I need to tighten the bottom of the bar mounts, but you don't always have to do that. Tighten the bottom of the bar mounts when the top mounts are tight, and that way you'll know you'll be lined up and you'll be ready to go. Put the front brake on, a couple simple bolts. Set your fork height, and again, it'll be close to the same because you've left them all as one set. So you just need to gradually go up and down to where you want the forks to be. Remember, your clamps will probably loosen after they break in a little bit, and they may need some readjustment on the steering stem nut, the adjuster nut. And other than that, you're ready to rip. So this has been Transworld Motocross How-Tos presented by Bike Bandit. See you next week.